Commander John Peterson stood on the bridge of the Aurora, staring through the viewport at the destruction below. The colony of New Haven had been his home for 5 years. Now it was nothing but burning buildings and empty streets. The alien attack had come without warning, turning the peaceful settlement into a graveyard. "Sir, I'm picking up more Zoraxian signals," Lisa Martinez said from her station. She was the communications officer, a young woman with dark hair tied back in a tight bun. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." John nodded, his jaw tight. "Put it through." The harsh, metallic voice of the Zoraxian commander filled the bridge. "Humans of Earth, witness the power of the Zoraxian Empire. Your outer colonies have fallen. Your military bases are destroyed. We give you one final chance to surrender. You have 24 hours to respond." The message ended with a burst of static. John turned to face his small crew. The Aurora was just a civilian transport ship, not built for war. They had barely escaped the attack, rescuing a few hundred survivors from New Haven. "How many ships did we lose?" John asked. Lisa checked her screen. "At least 50 military vessels, sir. The Zoraxians hit all our major defense stations at once. They knew exactly where to strike." John felt a cold knot in his stomach. The Zoraxian Empire had been watching humanity for years, studying their weaknesses. 3 months ago, they had sent their first message: join the Empire or be destroyed. Earth's leaders had refused, believing their defenses were strong enough. They were wrong. "Sir, we're receiving a coded transmission," Lisa said suddenly. "It's coming from I don't know where. The signal is encrypted with military protocols." "Can you decode it?" "Working on it." Lisa's fingers flew over her keyboard. After a moment, her eyes widened. "Sir, you need to see this." John moved to her station. On the screen was a simple message: "Ghost protocol active. All surviving vessels maintain radio silence. Rendezvous at coordinates attached. Earth lives." "Ghost protocol," Lisa whispered. "I've never heard of it." John had. It was a rumor, a story told in military bars late at night, a secret plan created years ago in case Earth ever faced total defeat. No one knew if it was real. Until now. "Set course for those coordinates," John ordered, "and keep us off the main shipping lanes. I don't want the Zoraxians to track us." The Aurora's engines hummed to life. As they left the ruins of New Haven behind, John allowed himself a small spark of hope. Maybe humanity wasn't finished yet. 3 days later, they reached the coordinates. It was empty space, far from any known trade routes or colonies. John was about to order a scan when space itself seemed to ripple. A massive structure appeared out of nowhere, as if stepping through an invisible door. It was a space station, but unlike any John had ever seen. Black metal hull, bristling with weapons, easily 10 times the size of the Aurora. "We're being hailed," Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly. "Put it through." A man's face appeared on the screen. He wore a black uniform with no insignia. "Commander Peterson, welcome to Haven Base. I'm Captain Matthews. Please dock at Bay 7. We have much to discuss." "How do you know my name?" John asked. "We've been watching all surviving Earth vessels," Matthews replied. "The Zoraxians think they've won. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The transmission ended. As the Aurora approached the mysterious station, John saw something that made his heart race. Through the station's massive hangar doors, he could see ships. Not civilian vessels or standard military craft, but warships. Dozens of them, each one larger and more advanced than anything in Earth's known fleet. The Zoraxians had destroyed Earth's visible military. But they had no idea what was waiting in the shadows. Humanity had learned long ago that sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy never sees coming. The Aurora docked at Haven Base with a soft thud. John Peterson led his crew through the airlock into a world they never knew existed. The corridors were wide and clean, filled with people in black uniforms moving with purpose. Captain Matthews met them at the entrance. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. "Welcome to humanity's best-kept secret," he said. "Follow me." They walked through the station, passing windows that showed the vast shipyard beyond. John counted at least 30 warships, each one sleek and deadly-looking. Workers in spacesuits moved around them like ants, making final preparations. "How is this possible?" Lisa asked. "The Zoraxians destroyed everything." Matthews smiled. "They destroyed what we wanted them to see. 15 years ago, our deep space probes found something on Mars. Ancient ruins, buried under the red sand. Technology far beyond anything we had." They entered a large conference room. A holographic display showed Earth and its colonies. Red dots marked the Zoraxian attacks. "The artifacts we found gave us new understanding of physics, energy, and space travel," Matthews continued. "We knew that someday, someone would come for Earth. So we built this place in secret, hidden in the Oort cloud." John studied the ships on the display. "These vessels, they're using alien technology. Modified and improved," Matthews said. "We call it the Ghost Fleet. 120 warships, equipped with weapons and shields the Zoraxians have never seen." Lisa leaned forward. "But why wait? Why let them destroy our colonies?" Matthews' face grew serious. "We needed them to believe they had won. The Zoraxian Empire is vast. If they knew our true strength, they would send their entire armada. But now, they think we're beaten. Their main fleet is scattered, celebrating their victory." The door opened, and a woman in an admiral's uniform entered. Her name tag read green. "Status report," she said. Matthews stood straighter. "All ships report ready, Admiral. The Zoraxians are gathering near Earth for our supposed surrender." Admiral Green nodded. "Good. Commander Peterson, your Aurora will play a crucial role. The Zoraxians know your ship. They'll expect you to bring our surrender message." John felt his pulse quicken. "You want us to be bait?" "More than that," Green said. "You'll deliver a message, but not the one they expect." She touched the holographic display, zooming in on Earth. "The Zoraxian fleet is positioned here, waiting for our response. They'd brought 500 ships, thinking it's more than enough to intimidate a beaten enemy." She pressed another button. Blue dots appeared around the red ones. "Our ships will emerge from quantum tunnels at these points, surrounding them completely. But first, we need you to get their attention." John understood. "You want them focused on us when you spring the trap." "Exactly. The Aurora will approach under a flag of truce. When you're in position, you'll broadcast our surrender. That will be the signal." Lisa looked worried. "What about the civilians on board? The refugees from New Haven?" "They'll be transferred to the station," Green assured her. "Your crew can volunteer for the mission or stay here." John didn't hesitate. "We're in." Over the next few hours, the refugees were moved to safety. John's crew chose to stay with him, even knowing the danger. They were given new equipment and a special transmitter that would trigger the Ghost Fleet's attack. As the Aurora prepared to leave, Matthews pulled John aside. "The quantum tunnels will put our ships in perfect position, but timing is everything. Once you send the signal, you'll have 30 seconds before we emerge. Use that time to get clear." John nodded. "What if something goes wrong?" Matthews handed him a small device, emergency beacon. "It will transport you and your crew back here instantly, but let's hope you don't need it." The Aurora undocked from Haven Base. As they moved away, John took one last look at the hidden fleet. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they hadn't broken. Now it was time to push back. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "Let's show these aliens what happens when you wake a sleeping giant." The Zoraxian Grand Marshal Vexthor sat on his command throne, watching Earth spin slowly beneath his flagship. The blue planet looked fragile, defenseless. His fleet of 500 warships formed a perfect sphere around it, weapons powered and ready. "The humans have 10 minutes left. his second-in-command reported. The alien's voice clicked and hissed through his translator. Still no response to our demands. Vexthor's 4 eyes narrowed with satisfaction. The conquest of Earth had been easier than expected. The humans had fought bravely but foolishly, throwing their ships against superior Zoraxian technology. Now their colonies burned, their fleet was scattered, and their homeworld stood alone. They will surrender, Vexthor said. They have no choice. On the bridge of his flagship, the Zoraxian crew celebrated their coming victory. They had conquered dozens of species before, but humans were special. These strange creatures had shown surprising creativity in battle, making them valuable additions to the Empire. As slaves, of course. Grand Marshal. The censor officer's voice cut through the celebration. A human ship approaches. It's broadcasting a white flag signal. Vexthor leaned forward. Show me. The main screen displayed a small transport vessel moving slowly toward their position. It was the Aurora, a ship they had tracked leaving the destroyed colony of New Haven. They're requesting permission to deliver Earth's formal surrender, the communications officer announced. Grant them passage, Vexthor ordered, but keep weapons locked on them. The Aurora moved through the Zoraxian fleet like a mouse among lions. Massive warships dwarfed the small transport, their weapons tracking its every move. Inside the Aurora, John Peterson kept his face calm, though his heart pounded. We're in position, Lisa reported quietly. They're hailing us. John took a deep breath. Put them through. Vexthor's face filled the screen. The alien resembled a giant insect, with armored plates and multiple eyes. Human vessel, you may speak. Grand Marshal Vexthor, John began, reading from a prepared script. I am Commander John Peterson of Earth. I carry our response to your demands. Proceed, Vexthor commanded. John's finger hovered over the hidden transmitter button. Earth has considered your terms. We have reached a decision. The Zoraxian leaned forward eagerly. Around the Aurora, hundreds of alien ships waited for Earth's surrender. Our answer is this, John said, pressing the button. We do not yield. For a moment, nothing happened. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in confusion. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Brilliant flashes of light erupted around the Zoraxian fleet as quantum tunnels opened. From each tunnel emerged human warships, black and sleek, appearing like ghosts from nowhere. Within seconds, the hunters became the hunted. Impossible. Vexthor roared. Where did these ships come from? The ghost fleet opened fire. Beams of energy, unlike anything the Zoraxians had seen, sliced through shields and armor. The first Zoraxian ships exploded before they could even return fire. On the Aurora, John activated the emergency transport. Blue light enveloped the ship as it vanished, reappearing safely near Haven Base just as the battle erupted. Admiral Green's voice came through all channels. Zoraxian fleet, this is the United Earth Ghost Fleet. You wanted our surrender. Instead, you'll get our fury. The human ships moved with impossible speed, their upgraded engines allowing them to dance around the slower Zoraxian vessels. Their weapons, based on the ancient Martian technology, cut through enemy shields like they weren't there. Vexthor watched in horror as his mighty fleet crumbled. All ships, return fire. Concentrate on their largest vessels. But the Zoraxian weapons, so effective against Earth's old fleet, barely scratched the Ghost Fleet's advanced armor. The human ships worked in perfect coordination, targeting command vessels and communication arrays. In 15 minutes, a quarter of the Zoraxian fleet was gone. Debris filled space around Earth as alien ships burned and broke apart. This cannot be, Vexthor muttered. We studied them for years. They didn't have this technology. His tactical officer turned, fear in all 4 eyes. Grand Marshal, they're jamming our communications. We can't call for reinforcements. The trap was complete. The Zoraxians had come to accept a surrender, but found themselves surrounded by an enemy they had gravely underestimated. The battle raged across Earth's orbit. Human ships moved like sharks through water, tearing apart the Zoraxian formation. The U.S. Retribution, Admiral Green's flagship, led the assault with devastating precision. "Target their command ships," Green ordered. "Break their chain of command." The Retribution's graviton cannons fired, sending waves of crushing force through space. 3 Zoraxian cruisers crumpled like paper, their hulls collapsing inward before exploding in brilliant flashes. Fighter pilot Susan Wallace gripped her controls as she led her squadron through the chaos. Her new fighter, equipped with Martian technology, responded to her thoughts as much as her hands. "Phoenix Squadron, form up on me," she called. "We're going after their carrier." 12 fighters curved through space, dodging debris and enemy fire. The Zoraxian carrier loomed ahead, a massive ship bristling with weapons, but Susan had studied their weak points. "Target the shield generators," she ordered. "Hit them hard and fast." The human fighters dove toward the carrier, unleashing streams of plasma fire. The Zoraxian point defense guns tried to track them, but the Earth fighters were too fast, too agile. Explosions bloomed across the carrier's hull as its shields flickered and died. On the Zoraxian flagship, Grand Marshal Vex Thor watched his fleet die. His tactical displays showed red everywhere, marking destroyed ships. The humans fought like demons, using tactics and weapons his people had never encountered. "Launch all fighters," he commanded. Overwhelmed them with numbers. Thousands of Zoraxian fighters poured from their carriers, swarming toward the human ships. But Earth was ready. Hidden among the Ghost Fleet were specialized ships, waiting for this moment. Captain Ryan Thompson smiled grimly as he gave the order. "Activate the pulse weapons." His destroyer squadron unleashed waves of electromagnetic energy. The pulses swept through the Zoraxian fighter swarms, frying their systems. Alien fighters tumbled helplessly through space, their pilots trapped in dead ships. The battle turned into a slaughter. Human ships worked in perfect teams, covering each other's weaknesses. They had spent 15 years preparing for this day, running countless simulations, planning for every possibility. Inside a disabled Zoraxian battleship, Lieutenant Frank Rodriguez led his boarding team through dark corridors. The aliens were tough fighters, but they'd never faced human Marines in close combat. "Clear the bridge," Rodriguez ordered. "We need their command codes." His team moved with practiced efficiency, using stun weapons to neutralize the alien crew. They'd reached the bridge in minutes, surprising the Zoraxian officers who were still trying to restore power. "Don't move," Rodriguez said, his weapon steady. The translator device made his words understandable to the aliens. "Your ship belongs to Earth now." Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human forces captured ship after ship. The Zoraxians, who had come as conquerors, found themselves outmatched at every turn. Dr. Emma Clark watched the battle from her science vessel, the Horizon. Her instruments recorded everything, analyzing Zoraxian technology and tactics. "Their shields are adapting," she reported to Admiral Green. "But our AI is learning faster. I'm sending new frequency modulations to all ships." The human fleet adjusted instantly, their weapons becoming even more effective. The Zoraxians had no answer to Earth's combination of alien technology and human innovation. Susan Wallace and her squadron finished off the carrier, sending it tumbling toward Earth's atmosphere where it burned like a falling star. She pulled her fighter around, looking for new targets, but the battle was already ending. Half the Zoraxian fleet was gone. The rest were either disabled or trying desperately to retreat. But the human ships had formed a perfect sphere, trapping them completely. On his flagship, Vex Thor stared at the destruction in disbelief. His mighty armada, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being torn apart by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "Grand Marshal," his second-in-command said, voice shaking, "we must surrender. There's no escape." Vex Thor's mandibles clicked in frustration. He had two choices: die with his fleet or surrender to these humans who had turned the hunter into prey. The battle that was supposed to mark Earth's submission had become the Zoraxian Empire's greatest defeat, And it was only the beginning. Lieutenant Frank Rodriguez moved through the captured Zoraxian battleship with his team. The alien corridors were dark and strange, filled with the sound of their boots on metal floors. They had taken control of 5 enemy ships so far, and more were falling every minute. Bridge secure, Rodriguez reported through his comm. Beginning data extraction. His tech specialist, Private Amy Chen, connected her tablet to the alien computer system. Their encryption is complex, but our AI is breaking through, she said. We'll have their fleet codes in minutes. On the bridge of the U.S. Retribution, Admiral Green watched as more Zoraxian ships surrendered. The enemy fleet was breaking apart, some ships trying to flee while others fought desperately. Sir, we've captured their communication network, an officer reported. We can broadcast directly to all their ships. Green nodded. Put me through. Her voice echoed across every Zoraxian vessel. Attention Zoraxian fleet. This is Admiral Green of Earth. Your defeat is certain. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and you will be destroyed. The effect was immediate. Dozens of Zoraxian ships powered down their weapons, but others, loyal to their Grand Marshal, kept fighting. Dr. Emma Clark studied the battle from her science vessel. Admiral, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the Zoraxian flagship. They're charging some kind of weapon. What kind of weapon? Green asked. Unknown, but the power levels are massive. If I had to guess, it's a last resort device. Susan Wallace saw it too from her fighter. The Zoraxian flagship was glowing, energy crackling along its hull. All fighters, stay clear of the flagship, she ordered. Inside the alien command ship, Vexthor had made his choice. If he couldn't have Earth, no one would. Activate the planet killer, he commanded. If we die, we take them with us. His officers hesitated. The planet killer was forbidden technology, capable of cracking a world in half. Using it would make Vexthor a war criminal in the eyes of the entire galaxy. Do it, Vexthor roared. The weapon began to charge. Earth had only minutes left. Rodriguez and his team were still aboard a captured ship when the alert came through. All units, the Zoraxian flagship is preparing to destroy Earth. We need those command codes now. Amy Chen worked frantically. Almost there. Got it. Transmitting fleet override codes. The codes spread through the human fleet's computers. Admiral Green didn't hesitate. Use their own ships against them. Target that flagship. Suddenly, the captured Zoraxian vessels turned their guns on their own flagship. Weapons that had been pointed at Earth now fired at Vexthor's ship. The Grand Marshal watched in horror as his own fleet attacked him. Traitors, he screamed. They've turned our ships against us. But it was too late. The combined firepower of dozens of ships overwhelmed the flagship's shields. The planet killer weapon overloaded, creating a feedback loop. All ships, maximum distance, Green ordered. The human fleet pulled back just as the Zoraxian flagship exploded. The blast was visible from Earth's surface, a new star in the sky that faded as quickly as it appeared. When the light cleared, the battle was over. What remained of the Zoraxian fleet floated helplessly, their weapons disabled by the command codes. Earth had won. Rodriguez and his team watched from their captured ship. Did we just save the planet? Amy asked. We all did, Rodriguez replied. Every person who fought today. On Earth, people emerged from shelters to see the sky filled with human ships. They had thought this day would bring their end. Instead, it brought victory. Admiral Green surveyed the battlefield. Hundreds of Zoraxian ships were now under human control. Earth hadn't just survived, it had gained a fleet. Begin rescue operations, she ordered. Collect survivors from both sides. The war may be over, but our work is just beginning. In the silence that followed, humanity realized they had changed forever. They were no longer just another species trying to survive. They were protectors, defenders, and perhaps something more. The cleanup took days. Human ships moved through the debris field, collecting survivors and salvaging technology. The captured Zoraxian vessels were towed to secure locations where teams of scientists waited eagerly. Admiral Green stood before the United Earth Council, presenting her report. We've captured over 200 Zoraxian ships. Their technology will advance our capabilities by decades. The council chamber buzzed with excitement, but Green raised her hand for silence. There's more. We've learned the Zoraxians weren't acting alone. They're part of a larger empire that spans hundreds of systems. The room grew quiet. Earth had won a battle, but the war might just be beginning. In the research labs, Dr. Emma Clark examined Zoraxian technology with growing amazement. Their shield generators are incredible, she told her team. Combined with our Martian tech, we could create defenses that are nearly impenetrable. But it was what they found in the Zoraxian databases that truly shocked them. Star maps showing hundreds of conquered worlds. Records of other species, some destroyed, others enslaved. The Zoraxian Empire was vast and cruel. On Haven Base, John Peterson met with other ship commanders. The Aurora had been upgraded with new weapons and shields, turning the civilian transport into a capable warship. We can't just wait for them to come back, John said. We need to take the fight to them. Lisa Martinez nodded. The Zoraxian prisoners are talking. They say their empire is already fracturing. News of their defeat here is spreading. Captain Matthews joined the discussion. Our spies report chaos in their outer territories. Conquered species are rebelling. They see Earth's victory as proof the Zoraxians can be beaten. The Ghost Fleet grew larger every day. Captured Zoraxian ships were retrofitted with human improvements. New vessels rolled out of hidden shipyards, each one more advanced than the last. 3 months after the battle, Admiral Green unveiled humanity's new flagship. The U.S. Avalanche was massive, a dreadnought-class vessel that dwarfed even the largest Zoraxian ship. This is our message to the galaxy, Green announced. Earth will not be conquered. Earth will not hide. We will defend ourselves and others who seek freedom. The ceremony was broadcast across human space. On colonies that had survived the Zoraxian attacks, people cheered. Earth was no longer just defending, it was preparing to liberate. Susan Wallace had been promoted to squadron commander. Her pilots now flew advanced fighters that could match anything in known space. Remember, she told her new recruits, we fight not just for Earth, but for every species under Zoraxian rule. Deep in Zoraxian space, word of Earth's victory spread like wildfire. Slave species whispered the name of the planet that had defeated their masters. Resistance movements gained strength. Rodriguez led the first strike team into Zoraxian territory. Their mission was simple: make contact with resistance groups and provide them with weapons and training. The Zoraxians ruled through fear, Rodriguez explained to his team. We'll show the galaxy there's something stronger than fear. Back on Earth, the changes were dramatic. Cities rebuilt with new technology. Defense platforms orbited the planet. Humanity united as never before, driven by the knowledge that they were no longer alone in the universe. The captured Zoraxian officers were brought before a tribunal. They expected execution, but humanity surprised them again. You will face justice, the judge declared, but not vengeance. You will help us understand your empire, and in return, you will be treated with dignity. This mercy shocked the Zoraxians more than any weapon. They had never encountered a species that showed compassion to defeated enemies. As the Ghost Fleet prepared for its first offensive, Admiral Green addressed her crews. We didn't ask for this war. We didn't want to become soldiers, but we will not allow others to suffer as we did. The ships began to move, quantum drives charging. Earth was taking its first steps onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as liberators. The Zoraxian Empire had awakened something they couldn't comprehend: humanity's determination to protect not just themselves, but others in need. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Zoraxian homeworld was in chaos. News of Grand Marshal Vexthor's defeat had shattered their belief in their own superiority. In the Imperial Palace, the Supreme Council argued about what to do next. "We must send the entire fleet," one counselor demanded. "Crush these humans before they grow stronger." "With what ships?" another replied. "Half our fleet is scattered across the Empire, fighting rebellions. The humans have shown our weakness to everyone." High Commander Zechtel watched the argument with growing frustration. He had warned them about underestimating the humans, but no one had listened. Now their empire was crumbling. Meanwhile, the human fleet moved through space like a storm. The U.S. Avalanche led the way, its massive hull casting shadows over smaller ships. Inside, Admiral Green studied the star maps taken from Zoraxian databases. "Our first target is here," she said, pointing to a system. "The Korvax homeworld. They've been under Zoraxian rule for 50 years. John Peterson commanded one of the Liberation fleets. His upgraded Aurora now carried weapons that could crack a moon. But it wasn't their firepower that made the difference. It was their strategy. "We don't attack the planets," John explained to his crew. "We cut their supply lines. Free their slaves. Show them they're not alone." The first liberation was almost too easy. The Zoraxian garrison fled when they saw human ships appear. The Korvax, a peaceful species of scholars, couldn't believe their eyes when humans landed. "You came to help us?" their leader asked, his voice trembling. "But why?" "You don't know us." Rodriguez smiled. "Because someone has to stand up to bullies. Today it's us. Tomorrow, maybe it'll be you helping someone else." Word spread faster than the fleet could move. Slave species across the Empire rose up, inspired by Earth's example. The Zoraxians found themselves fighting on 100 fronts. Susan Wallace led fighter strikes against Zoraxian supply depots. Her pilots had become legends, appearing from nowhere to destroy enemy resources before vanishing again. "They call us ghosts," she told her squadron. "Let's show them why." Dr. Emma Clark worked with freed scientists from other species. Together, they improved human technology even further. The combination of different perspectives created innovations neither species could have achieved alone. "The Zoraxians conquered through division," Emma explained. "We'll win through unity." 6 months into the campaign, the tide had turned completely. The Zoraxian Empire was collapsing. Entire sectors declared independence. Former slave species formed alliances with Earth. On the Zoraxian homeworld, High Commander Zechtel made a decision. He gathered officers loyal to him and sent a message to the human fleet. "I wish to negotiate," his message said. "Not all Zoraxians support this war. We want peace." Admiral Green was suspicious but agreed to meet. The rendezvous took place on a neutral space station. Zechtel arrived with only a small escort, showing his good faith. "Your people have proven superior," Zechtel said. "Not in weapons, but in wisdom. We surrender." "This isn't about superiority," Green replied. "It's about freedom. Your empire enslaved others. That ends now." The negotiations were complex. Earth demanded the complete dissolution of the Zoraxian Empire. All conquered species would regain independence. The Zoraxians would pay reparations and submit to oversight. "You could destroy us," Zechtel observed. "Why show mercy?" "Because mercy is what makes us different," Green answered. "Your people can change. We'll help you." The treaty was signed aboard the U.S. Avalanche. Representatives from dozens of freed species watched as the Zoraxian Empire officially ended. John Peterson stood with Lisa Martinez, watching the ceremony. "Hard to believe it's over," he said. "It's not over," Lisa replied. "It's just beginning. We've got a whole galaxy to rebuild." The Ghost Fleet had become something more than a military force. It was now a symbol of hope, proof that even the smallest species could stand against tyranny and win. As the human ships departed the Zoraxian homeworld, they left behind advisors to help rebuild. The galaxy watched in amazement. The humans hadn't just won a war. They were winning the peace. 1 year after the battle for Earth, the galaxy had changed forever. The Great Council Chamber on Alpha Station buzzed with activity as representatives from 50 different species gathered for a historic meeting. Colonel Amy Harrison stood at the entrance, watching the alien delegates arrive. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4. Some floated, some slithered. All had one thing in common: they were free because of Earth. Inside the chamber, Admiral Green prepared to address the assembly. The United Terran Defense Force had evolved from Earth's protector to the galaxy's peacekeeping force. Their black ships now patrolled trade routes, keeping them safe from pirates and remnants of the old empire. Delegates of the Galactic Council, Green began. 1 year ago, we fought for our survival. Today, we stand together as equals. The Korvax representative spoke next. Earth showed us that strength comes not from weapons, but from unity. They defeated the Zoraxians not through superior numbers, but through courage and innovation. John Peterson sat in the observer section with his crew. The Aurora had become a symbol of the resistance, touring liberated worlds to show that ordinary people could make a difference. "Never thought I'd see this," Lisa whispered. "All these species working together." The Council voted to establish the Galactic Alliance, with Earth as a founding member. Trade agreements were signed. Defense pacts were created. A new era of cooperation began. Dr. Emma Clark presented her latest project: a network of research stations where scientists from all species could work together. "The Zoraxians kept knowledge divided," she explained. "We'll share it freely." Even the Zoraxians had found their place in the new order. High Commander Zechtel, now Ambassador Zechtel, worked to reform his people's society. Many Zoraxians had embraced the change, eager to be part of something better than conquest. Susan Wallace commanded the new Galactic Defense Academy, training pilots from every member species. Her students learned not just combat skills, but the importance of protecting the weak. "Remember," she told each new class, "we fight so others don't have to." Rodriguez led the Peacekeeping Corps, a mixed species force that resolved conflicts before they became wars. His teams included humans, Korvax, and even reformed Zoraxians, working side by side. The transformation wasn't always smooth. Some species struggled with old prejudices. Some Zoraxians couldn't accept the new reality. But humanity's example inspired others to try. On Earth, children learned alien languages in school. Cities hosted cultural festivals, celebrating their new allies. The planet that had once stood alone now stood at the center of a thriving community. The Ghost Fleet still existed, hidden and ready, but its ships rarely needed to fight. Their mere presence was enough to discourage aggression. The galaxy had learned its lesson about underestimating humans. As the council session ended, Admiral Green met with John Peterson privately. "You started this," she said. "When you delivered that fake surrender message, you changed history." John shook his head. "We all did it together. That's what the Zoraxians never understood. Humans are strongest when we stand united." The last scene took place on Mars, where it all began. A memorial stood at the site where humans first discovered the ancient ruins. Representatives from every species placed tokens of gratitude, honoring the unknown civilization whose technology had saved Earth and freed the galaxy. Amy Harrison gave the closing speech. "To those who came before us, thank you. Your legacy helped us become more than conquerors or victims. We became protectors." As night fell on Mars, the lights of dozens of ships twinkled in the sky. Human vessels flew alongside Korvax cruisers, Zoraxian transports, and ships from species most humans still couldn't pronounce. The Zoraxians had thought they won the war when they attacked Earth's colonies. Instead, they had awakened something far more powerful than any weapon: humanity's capacity for courage, compassion, and unity. The galaxy was at peace, protected by those who understood that true strength came not from domination, but from lifting others up. Earth had not just survived. It had shown the universe a better way forward.